Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the NTI PodTalk. This is our time and my time that we get to talk to people who are part of the NTI community. That's students and graduates and staff and people outside the NTI community who are food lovers and involved in the world of food. Today, I am talking to one of our staff members, Daina Rasutis. And Daina is a graduate of the NTI program. And you may, if you are a current student here or who have investigated NTI from a prospective student standpoint, she is in our admissions team. So you may have spoken to her and had interaction with her. So Daina, thank you so much for being here. And the reason why I like to have staff members on here is because many of our students are not local. They don't interact with our staff member in an intimate level, being in the building, seeing them face to face in the room. And so I want our students and our graduates and our prospective students to know who our staff members are, recognize them by face, and just kind of get a feeling of who it is that they are interacting with when they contact us. And even if our students were here in the building, they actually wouldn't have interaction with you because you are our staff member who is not local. You don't live here in Denver. So you do work fully online. And so this is an even better reason why I want to have a talk with you so that our community gets to know you as a staff member. So thank you so much for being here once again.
Thanks for having me.
As I mentioned, you are a graduate of our program. And I always want to know what prompted you to, first of all, want to go to nutrition school. And second of all, what made you choose NTI?
Yes. Well, my journey, I think, like many people's, is very roundabout way of finding nutrition. So the first time I started getting interested in nutrition in general was in grad school. I was studying sustainable engineering at the time, and my research was on agriculture. So I was looking at all this agricultural data and learning about inputs and yields, and I was really interested in that aspect, but it wasn't exactly sexy. And I definitely was more interested in the food and learning more about that. And that was around the time where I started doing things like making raw desserts for my coworkers, which they did not enjoy, but I thought it was really good and interesting to play around with things like this. So that was what piqued my interest. And after college, I didn't want to continue with engineering at the time. I was burnt out, but I really wanted to pursue something with food. So I reached out to a local food hall, and I was living in Phoenix at the time, and asked if they wanted a sustainability consultant because I wanted to work with food, learn about the whole life cycle of food, and help them become a more sustainable restaurant. Mm-hmm. So that didn't exactly work out because it was a startup. So I did event coordination instead, but my interest in food continued. And during that time, I reached out to Arizona State University to see if I could actually audit a nutrition course. So I was showing up to a nutrition course just for fun. And all these other kids were taking it for credit, and I was just really interested in it. And down the road, I started looking into maybe studying dietetics because I really wanted to do something with food. But every program I researched just wasn't vibing with me, and it wasn't what I believed in with food. I was looking for a much more holistic approach. And then that idea kind of got tabled. I did a bunch of things with like natural building, and then ended up in Denver because my boyfriend got a job at a company in Denver. And one day he came home and he told me that he drove by some signs on York Street, which was our old location. And he said, there's all these signs with studying nutrition therapy. So I looked up the program online and it looked amazing. So Nutrition Therapy Institute looked exactly what I was looking for. But then they looked at the price, and at the time I was working in a restaurant, and I thought, you know what, I can't afford this right now, but I attended a webinar anyways. So I attended a webinar and I literally cried after because I thought, this is so perfect. It's exactly what I want to do. And so I made it work, and I took courses in person to start, some online, and that's how I found NTI.
Nice. Well, that's an amazing story. So I'm really interested in, like you said, that you took those classes that you audited at, was it ASU or?
Correct.
Yeah. And I imagine those classes were for dietetics prep.
Mhm.
Yeah. So did that in any, I mean, obviously it didn't, change your desire to want to be involved in food, but I imagine that potentially was a much different focus than what you maybe thought it might be, or definitely wanted to participate in. So do you have anything to say about that? Like, what were your thoughts when you were there?
I guess it was also not only the material that was taught, because it was a very intro level. It was like 101 or something. So we were talking about just macronutrients, but it was more so the people in the course. And I just felt like nobody was truly passionate about nutrition.
Yeah.
Just the way they were acting. And I don't know if it was because it was a younger crowd, because a lot of them were like freshmen in college and I was older at the time, but just the whole energy was off. And I just thought, I don't really want to, like, I don't want to be actually enrolled in a course like this and pursue a degree like this. Which is why when I saw NTI and learned everything NTI was teaching, it was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, well, kind of the reason why I asked that is because when I was in college, I went to Colorado State University, CSU, which is a big dietetics program, or has a big dietetics program. And I wasn't going to school for nutrition, but I had to find some sort of electives to take, to fulfill all of my elective credit hours. And so I took a Nutrition 101, which is prep for the dietetics program. And even though I wasn't interested in nutrition at the time, when I was in this class, learning about what was ostensibly a quote unquote healthy diet, all the other students who were in the class, they're like eating whatever typical junk food students were eating at that time. This was much before you went to college, but, and the instructor always had a soda and always was like, snacking on like candy and stuff. She would have this big bowl of candy on her desk. It was this big lecture hall, but I could see what, and it just always stuck with me that, well, if like what there was always this disconnect between eating healthy, so to speak, quote unquote, that you're supposed to be learning with dietetics, and then so there was just always this disconnect. And so for me, it was a much longer process for me to get involved and interested in nutrition, because that was my concept of what nutrition was for so long, until, I had my epiphany. And so, you luckily stuck with it and pursued it, even though you had this little bit of a diversion into something that didn't really align with your goals and your expectations. So, yeah. Yeah. So you got a much earlier start than I did. All right. So, so you came to NTI as a student. When did you graduate? And how long did it take you to go through the program?
Just about 2 years. So most of the time I was taking 2 courses at a time. I took a little bit of a break to go on a long vacation. But yes, by the end, it took just about 2 years, and I graduated January of 2021. So just about a year ago.
Very nice. And now that you have graduated, you're obviously working here, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, but what are you doing in pursuing your passion for being a nutrition therapist? What kind of things are you doing in that world?
I did end up starting my own practice. So I work one-on-one with clients, which has been amazing. And I'm learning so much. And everything that I learned at NTI obviously is extremely valuable, and I'm able to help people. So yeah, just mostly one-on-one. I like to specialize in digestive issues. That was my health journey. Seems like everyone at NTI has a health journey. Mine came from digestive issues. So that's what I'm really passionate about helping people with. And also a little bit of hormone balancing. So yeah, and I practice mostly virtually.
Great. Good. And where do you get your clients from? Are they word of mouth, or are they latching onto your advertising? What kind of marketing are you doing?
I'm trying not to depend on marketing. I'd love to be and mostly it has been word of mouth. It's been, you know, friends of cousins and all of that.
Right.
A couple of people have found me organically, which has been amazing, just through Instagram or through my website. So that's always nice to hear, to know that someone out there in the abyss is finding me.
Great. Yeah. So, you know, something that I always talk about with word of mouth marketing, our clients and the people that we work with and share what we know with, they become really our best marketing staff, because they are promoting us to their friends and their relatives. And so that, you know, helps build awareness about you, but also they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't value you and trust you and recognize your credibility, recognize your intelligence, recognize your skill. And so, you know, you help curate that by being that really proficient practitioner with them. So, yeah. All right, good. Well, so as a staff member at NTI, I already mentioned you work in our admissions team. So can you talk a little bit about what that means and what you do for the admissions team?
I'm one of the admissions counselors at Nutrition Therapy Institute, and I talk to incoming prospective students. So people typically are looking for a nutrition program, they stumble upon ours, and they have lots of questions. So I'm there to guide them, tell them more about it, especially from a former student's perspective. And we do have two programs, the Nutrition Therapist Master Program and the Natural Food Chef Program. So we speak about both. And that's mostly the job. And there's a lot of people coming in and making decisions which will change their lives. So it's always important to know that it's the right fit, and we will offer what they're looking for.
Yeah. And you have interaction with these people as prospects. So you're hearing, if they're sharing them, you're hearing those stories about how they came to their passion and their interest and their desire to want to learn more. So, you know, I think that's a unique thing, that once they get here and they're enrolled, we may not hear that as much as you do as the admissions, point of contact.
Definitely, it's like the best part of working in admissions, hearing everyone's stories and everyone's health journeys and things that have gone wrong, practitioners that have helped or not helped them, and they want to help their kids or people in their lives. And it's, we always call it the fun job in the building, because we get to talk to all the really excited people who are like, your dreams are big. That's so true. And it's also, it feels so good when people decide to go to NTI and make those things happen, because I know that their lives will be very different. Yeah.
Well, you know, we say that, all of us say that no matter which program you take, whether the nutrition program, the NFC program, or both, it is a life-changing experience. It is transformational. And the way that your life will change, you can't even predict before you start. And so I think that's great. All right. So you work at home, so you're not really packing your lunch and taking it with you, but do you have things that you regularly make sure to include in your diet? I always ask this question because we are foodies. We do work with nutrition and food all the time. And so I think it's helpful to hear what other people prioritize in their diets. So.
Oh gosh, I love salads for lunch. If I had to choose one thing that I have most often, I'm a salad and soup kind of girl. I like to make big stews, have them. My boyfriend eats for like a family of 4. So it is insane. I usually double recipes and they're gone within like 2 days. So things like stews are very common in our house. One thing that I've learned about myself in the past couple of years is my protein needs, I feel like, are higher than other people's. And that this was something that I found out about after having some health conditions come up and just lab results, neurological issues. And once I started upping my protein, it was crazy how much my health changed. So that's one thing that I have started focusing on a lot more to feel better, especially with exercising a lot and focusing on that aspect. So that's one thing that I want to always think about in my meals.
Yeah. Protein makes a big difference for a lot of people, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of things do you like to do outside of work? What kind of hobbies do you have? I know one of the things you do. So if you don't talk about it, I'm going to ask you about it, but what kind of hobbies do you do?
Let's see. I love cooking, obviously. So that's definitely something I look forward to every day. Cooking is not a chore for me. So even when I work with clients and create meal plans, I look forward to it because it's almost like cooking, and then testing out the recipes and doing all that. Other things, I do love playing around with exercise. So that's, I would say, a hobby of mine. I love going to workout classes, whether it's yoga or cycling classes or trying out new things. I just went to a workout class this past Sunday and it was hilarious. And the whole time it's like you're so far out of your comfort zone and extremely uncomfortable that you're laughing. I love that feeling and hate that feeling at the same time. So I like doing that and meeting people and seeing everyone's workout strategies. So that's something I like to do. And then travel. Yeah, I do a lot of traveling. I grew up in Lithuania in Eastern Europe. So a lot of my family and friends are there, and just friends scattered all over the US because I've moved a lot. So I love visiting everyone.
Yeah, well, so a couple things that I was gonna talk about. So in addition to being on our admissions team, you also are our recipe writer. We have a monthly recipe that is posted on our blogs. And so your creativity comes through there. You have beautiful photographs of the foods that you prepare. So your love of food really shines there. And then, I know that you're very physically active and do kind of, lots of different types of workouts, Pilates and yoga and all kinds of things. Have you ever done kickboxing?
I haven't, but that is on my list. I need to find a place here in Santa Fe that teaches it. Have you done kickboxing?
I haven't, but it is something that I'd be interested in doing.
Love to see you kickbox.
I think it looks like a great workout, and you learn a little bit of self-defense in the process. So,
definitely. And like stress relief. I have friends who do it and they say it is the best form of stress relief. Yeah.
Yeah. So a little hidden secret that my husband probably would not like to hear is he watches the old movie, The Karate Kid. I don't know if you know that. So, well, they're doing a remake of not the movie, but they have a Netflix series and they're going on to season 4 about these kids who are doing this karate. They're now adults. So he likes to watch it just as a stress reliever because it's so sort of it's very much like a soap opera, but he likes to watch it for the action. So I watch it and I'm like, wow, like, they're whatever kicking and I can't even use the right vocabulary of what they're doing, but it has rekindled my interest in trying to learn kickboxing. So maybe someday I'll do it.
We should do an NTI staff class.
Kickboxing.
I'll go on.
Well, I did axe throwing. Yeah, I did axe throwing. So that was a new thing. So maybe kickboxing will be the next thing that we do. So
good. I hope so.
Nice. All right. So you mentioned you have a website for your business. What other means of connection are there to reach you?
Yeah, so my business is called Table to Crave, and that's also my Instagram handle and my website. So that's where anyone can find me. That's where I'm most active, through my website and through my Instagram.
Nice. Well, one thing that I think would be interesting for prospects and potentially students and graduates to hear is about your advanced training that you did after you left NTI. So if you could talk about that a little bit before we let you go, and then we'll finish up here.
Right. So finishing a program like NTI gives you the ability to take on additional certification programs, so continuing education that wouldn't be available to you otherwise. And the one I'm enrolled right now is called Restorative Wellness Solutions. And it's a fantastic program. I'm already in the level 2 part of it. So I finished level 1, which was focused on gastrointestinal healing. Level 2 is on hormones. And these were amazing opportunities to use all that knowledge that I gained at NTI and then get a little bit of a more specific education on certain things, learning how to read certain labs, what kind of supplements to recommend, what kind of diets to recommend. So NTI was a fantastic foundation. But then if someone were interested in dialing it in, those kind of certifications are out there. So I'm so glad to have had NTI's training that I can feel like I can jump right into these higher level trainings that are very complex and feel really confident, and that NTI taught me everything I needed to know.
Great. Cool. All right. Well, Daina, thank you so much for your time today. It's been fun talking to you outside of a very work-related conversation. Always interested to hear kind of some personal things about those people that I work with. So thanks so much for being here. And it was great to talk to you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Diane. You too.
Thanks.